Welcome back. Now we got him. Let's bring in Karl Rove, former senior advisor to George W. Bush. Karl, always great to have you. I was fascinated last night with this idea that Kamala is for the workers. She keeps saying that, but she was actually the one that crushed the workers, her and Joe Biden, in the last 4 years with this crazy inflation and spending and every green energy policy that they've pushed. How can AOC or Hillary Clinton get up there with a straight face and say that to the American people?
Well, they did, but you're right. Is it being in favor of the worker if you cut the buying power of the worker's check, if you take the enterprise in which the worker is employed and make it more difficult for that business to succeed and prosper? Look, Democrats have got an odd definition of what helps prosperity. And it starts with the fact of, look, think about it last night. We had the President of the United States talking about how his vice president had cast the deciding vote on some important pieces of legislation, like the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan, which even Larry Summers, Barack Obama's Treasury Secretary, and other Democratic economists said should not be passed because it would be inflationary. And sure enough, it was. And how did she follow that up? By voting for an inflationary 2021 FY21 budget and FY22 budget, and then for the Inflation Reduction Act. She made them possible, that tied in the Senate 50-50, and she broke the tie in favor of those gigantic spending bills that caused inflation, that cut the purchasing power of American workers.
Speaking of Barack Obama, he and Michelle will be on the stage tonight, Karl. That looks to me like the ultimate attempt to help Harris separate from Biden. Do you think it's going to work?
Well, we'll see. That's what the convention is about, and you know, it's the place where you have the most control over the agenda, the schedule, and what is said. So I suspect, you know, the Republicans would be smart to count on them having a good convention. We'll have the Obamas tonight. We'll have Bill Clinton, and then we'll have on Thursday night the Vice President herself. So there's every reason to believe that they're going to do a good job of controlling the message between now and the end of the convention.
Trump today is in Michigan. J.D. Vance is in Wisconsin. We know that in tight races, this comes down to a couple thousand votes in swing states or really even swing counties. What states or counties are must wins for Trump and Vance, especially right now? They are lagging in some of those polls.
Yeah, look, at the magic number is 270, so they got to hold on to North Carolina, which they won last time around, and then they've got to pick up some additional states. If they carried the states they won last time around, they'd have 235 electoral votes. 4 years ago, those states before reapportionment represented 232. So they've got to get themselves another 35 electoral votes. The biggest ones obviously would be Pennsylvania with 19 and Georgia with 16 and Michigan with 15, and then 11 in Arizona, 6 in Nevada, and 10 in Wisconsin. So you've got 6 targets there, but you got to carry 3 of the bigger ones in order to get to 270. So right now is not the time to make the field smaller. Right now there are 7 states that are in play. They got to be working in all 7. It is smart for the Trump Vance team to be covering battleground states. They just need to be a heck of a lot more disciplined in what their messaging is. If you give the media a chance to decide among a half a dozen different topics, including insults of your opponent and weird remarks, they're going to take the insults and the weird remarks, not the substance, which is what is going to drive the vote of the individual swing voters that are up for grabs in those states and counties.
Real quick, Karl, since you have attended many conventions in the past, you know, I saw empty seats last night. I saw people getting up and exiting early. The president was shifted so that he wasn't actually in prime time. I saw a couple people getting up to the stage, whether it was Hillary Clinton, Jill Biden, or Joe Biden himself, kind of teary-eyed about what could have been. It wasn't really the kind of messaging, if I were a Democrat, that I would want to see. And it was in sharp contrast to what we saw at the RNC in Milwaukee.
Yeah, the first night and the first day were not particularly well run. I mean, there was a huge problem with getting people into the arena. They dropped people off at what was the media entrance, so that literally there was a line that took several hours to get through in order to get people into the building. I would say that the biggest problem last night was that, and intentionally or not, think about it, the President of the United States who's 81 years old, began to speak at 11:28 Eastern time. That is out of prime time, and he finished speaking at 12:16. And so somebody messed up. They had to cancel a James Taylor song. They had to take several members of Congress and move them out. Look, Jasmine Crockett was in the Texas House for, I think, 2 terms or maybe 1 term. She's a freshman Democrat in the Congress.
Got a lot of time.
She spoke. She got a lot of time, and that time meant that the President of the United States was going to, cumulatively show up very late in the evening. So they better get their act together tonight. And maybe that was deliberate. Maybe they said, you know what, it's his last political speech. He's in the review mirror. We want to applaud him. I mean, my sense of the arena was there was enormous applause. But I think it was a sense of relief.
Right.
When he got going about, his agenda, that was the only thing that would cause people to scream up and shout was when he would mention the name Kamala Harris. But I mean, I sensed it was like, thank you so much. This is your last convention. You've been running for office since 1970. This is going to be it.
Yeah.
Say whatever you want to say. Just get off the stage.
Yeah, we're not allowed to use cat analogies on this show anymore, but lame duck, I think, is okay with my co-host.
Yes.
Karl Rove. Thank you.